Arise by Ella Wheeler Wilcox (LibriVox.org) Why sit ye idly dreaming all the day, While the golden, precious hours flit away? See you not the day is waning, waning fast, That the morn's already vanished in the past? When the glowing noon approaches, we will rest Who have worked through all the morning. But at best if you work with zeal and ardor till the night, You can only make the wasted moments right. Think you life was made for dreaming, nothing more, When God's work lies all unfinished at your door? Souls to save and hearts to strengthen, ah, such work, Such a richly freighted labor, who would shirk? Then arise, O idle dreamer! Dreams are sweet, But better flowers are growing at your feet. If you crush or pass unheeding, idle friend, You shall answer for their ruin in the end. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
At Night by Alice Meynell. Read for LibriVox.org by Martin Geeson. In Hazelmere, Surrey. Home, home from the horizon, far and clear, Hither the soft wings sweep. Flocks of the memories of the day draw near The dovecot doors of sleep. Oh, which are they that come through sweetest light Of all these homing birds? Which with the straightest and the swiftest flight? Your words to me, your words. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Behind a Wall by Amy Lowell. Read for LibriVox.org by Noel Badrian, County Offaly, Ireland. I own a solace shut within my heart, a garden full of many a quaint delight, and warm with drowsy poppied sunshine, bright flaming with lilies, out of whose cups dart shining things with powdered wings. Here terrace sinks to terrace, arbours close the ends of dreaming paths, a wanton wind jostles the half-ripe pears, and then, unkind, tumbles a slumber in a pillar rose, with content grown indolent. By night my garden is o'erhung with gems fixed in an onyx setting. Fireflies flicker their lanterns in my dazzled eyes. In serried rows I guess the straight, stiff stems of hollyhocks against the rocks. So far and still it is that, listening, I hear the flowers talking in the dawn, and where a sunken basin cuts the lawn, cinctured with iris, pale and glistening, the sudden swish of a waking fish. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Breedon Hill by A. E. Houseman, from a Shropshire Lad. Read for LibriVox.org by John Sindell, January 2012. In summertime on Breedon, the bells they sound so clear. Round both the shires they ring them in steeples far and near, a happy noise to hear. Here of a Sunday morning, my love and I would lie and see the colored counties, and hear the larks so high about us in the sky. The bells would ring to call her in valleys miles away. Come all to church, good people, come and pray. But here my love would stay, and I would turn and answer among the springing time. Oh, peal upon our wedding, and we will hear the chime, and come to church in time. But when the snows at Christmas on Bredon top were strown, my love rose up so early and stole out unbeknown and went to church alone. They tolled the one bell only. Groom there was none to see. The mourners followed after, and so to church went she, and would not wait for me. The bells they sound on Bredon, and still the steeples hum. Come all to church, good people. O noisy bells, be dumb. I hear you, I will come. End of poem.
But Not to Me by Sarah Teasdale. Read for LibriVox.org by Dana Meilinger. The April night is still and sweet, with flowers on every tree. Peace comes to them on quiet feet, but not to me. My peace is hidden in his breast, where I shall never be. Love comes tonight to all the rest, but not to me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Consider the Lilies of the Field by Christina Rossetti. Read for LibriVox.org by Heather Phillips. Flowers preach to us if we will hear. The rose saith in the dewy morn, I am most fair, yet all my loveliness is born upon a thorn. The poppy saith amid the corn, Let but my scarlet head appear, and I am held in scorn. Yet juice of subtle virtue lies within my cup of curious dyes. The lilies say, Behold how we preach without words of purity. The violets whisper from the shade which their own leaves have made. Men scent our fragrance on the air, yet take no heed of humble lessons we would read. But not alone the fairest flowers, the merest grass along the roadside where we pass, lichen and moss and sturdy weed tell of his love who sends the dew, the rain and sunshine too, to nourish one small seed. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Danny Deever by Rudyard Kipling. Read for LibriVox.org by Michael Dowling. What are the bugles blowing for? Said Files on parade. To turn you out, the colour sergeant said. What makes you look so white, said Files on parade. I'm dreading what I've got to watch, the colour sergeant said. For they're hanging Danny Deever. You can hear the Dead March play. The regiment's in Hollow Square. They're hanging him today. They've taken off his buttons off and cut his stripes away. And they're hanging Danny Deever in the morning. What makes the rear rank breathe so hard? Said Files on parade. It's bitter cold, the colour sergeant said. What makes that front rank man fall down? Said Files on parade. A touch of sun, the colour sergeant said. They're hanging Danny Deever, they are marching of him round. They have halted Danny Deever by his coffin on the ground, and he'll swing in half a minute for a sneaking, shooting hound. Oh, they're hanging Danny Deever in the morning. His cot was right-hand cot to mine, said Files on parade. He's sleeping out and far tonight, the colour sergeant said. I've drunk his beer a score of times, said Files on parade. He's drinking bitter beer alone, the colour sergeant said. They're hanging Danny Deever. You must mark him to his place, for he's shot a comrade sleeping. You must look him in the face. 900 of his county, and the regiment's disgrace, while they're hanging Danny Deever in the morning. What's that so black agin the sun? Said Files on parade. It's Danny fighting hard for life, the colour sergeant said. What's that whimpers overhead? Said Files on parade. It's Danny's soul that's passing now. the colour sergeant said. Before they're done with Danny Deever, you can hear the quick step play, the regiments in column, and they're marching us away. Oh, the young recruits are shaking, and they'll want their beer today, after hanging Danny Deever in the morning. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Dream Within a Dream by Edgar Allan Poe. Read for LibriVox.org by Clay Riedenauer. Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet they creep through my fingers to the deep, while I weep, O God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? O God, can I not save one from the pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Farewell to the Highlands by Robert Burns. Read for LibriVox.org by Lucy Perry. Farewell to the Highlands, farewell to the North, the birthplace of valour, the country of worth. Wherever I wander, wherever I rove, the hills of the Highlands forever I love. My heart's in the Highlands, my heart is not here. My heart's in the Highlands, a-chasing the deer, chasing the wild deer and following the roe. My heart's in the Highlands wherever I go. Farewell to the mountains high covered with snow. Farewell to the straths and green valleys below. Farewell to the forests and wild hanging woods. Farewell to the torrents and loud pouring floods. My heart's in the Highlands, my heart is not here. My heart's in the Highlands, a-chasing the deer, chasing the wild deer and following the roe. My heart's in the Highlands wherever I go. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Glory of the Garden by Rudyard Kipling. Read for LibriVox.org by Noel Badrian, County Offaly, Ireland. Our England is a garden that is full of stately views, of borders, beds, and shrubberies, and lawns and avenues, with statues on the terraces, and peacocks strutting by. But the glory of the garden lies in more than meets the eye. For where the old thick laurels grow, along the thin red wall, you'll find the tool and potting sheds, which are the heart of all. The cold frames and the hot houses, the dung pits and the tanks, the rollers, carts, and drain pipes, with the barrows and the planks. And there you'll see the gardeners, the men and prentice boys, told off to do as they are bid, and do it without noise. For except when seeds are planted, and we shout to scare the birds, the glory of the garden, it abideth not in words. And some can pot begonias, and some can bud a rose, and some are hardly fit to trust with anything that grows. But they can roll and trim the lawns, and sift the sand and loam, for the glory of the garden occupieth all who come. Our England is a garden, and such gardens are not made by singing, "Oh, how beautiful!" and sitting in the shade, while better men than we go out and start their working lives at grubbing weeds from gravel paths with broken dinner knives. There's not a pair of legs so thin, there's not a head so thick, there's not a hand so weak and white, nor yet a heart so sick, but it can find some needful job that's crying to be done, for the glory of the garden glorifieth every one. Then seek your job with thankfulness, and work till further orders, if it's only netting strawberries, or killing slugs on borders. And when your back stops aching and your hands begin to harden, you will find yourself a partner in the glory of the garden. O Adam was a gardener, and God who made him sees that half a proper gardener's work is done upon his knees. So when your work is finished, you can wash your hands and pray for the glory of the garden, that it may not pass away. And the glory of the garden, it shall never pass away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Gunga Din by Rudyard Kipling, read for LibriVox.org by Clay Riednauer. You may talk of gin and beer when you're quartered safe out here, and you're sent to penny fights and I'll to shot it. But when it comes to slaughter, you will do your work on water, and you'll lick the bloomin' boots of him that's got it. Now in India's sunny clime, where I used to spend my time, a serving of Her Majesty the Queen, of all them black-faced crew, the finest man I knew was our regimental beastie Gunga Din. He was Din, 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 you limpin' lump of brick dust Gunga Din. High, slippery hither ow, water get it, penny low, you squidgy-nosed old idle Gunga Din. The uniform he wore was nothing much before, and rather less than half of that behind. For a piece of twisty rag and a goatskin water bag was all the field equipment he could find. When the sweatin' troop train lay in a sidin' through the day, where the heat would make your bloomin' eyebrows crawl, we shouted Harry by till our throats were bricky dry, then we whopped him 'cause he couldn't serve us all. It was Din, 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 you heathen, where the mischief have you been? You put some joldy in it, or I'll marrow you this minute if you don't fill up me helmet, Gunga Din. He would dot and carry one till the longest day was done, and he didn't seem to know the use of fear. If we charged or broke or cut, you could bet your bloomin' nut he'd be waitin' 50 paces right flank rear. With his mussick on his back, he would skip with our attack, and watch us till the bugles made retire. And for all his dirty hide, he was white, clear white inside, when he went to tend the wounded under fire. It was Din, 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 with the bullets kicking dust spots on the green. When the cartridges ran out, you could hear the front files shout, "Hi, ammunition mules and Gunga Din." I shan't forget the night when I dropped behind the fight with a bullet where me belt plate should have been. I was choking mad with thirst, and the man that spied me first was our good old grinning, grunting Gunga Din. He lifted up my head and he plugged me where I bled, and he gave me off a pint of water green. It was crawling and it stunk, but of all the drinks I've drunk, I'm gratefulest to one from Gunga Din. It was Din, 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 here's a beggar with a bullet through his spleen. He's chawing up the ground and he's kicking all around, for God's sake get the water, Gunga Din. He carried me away to where a dooley lay, and a bullet come and drilled the beggar clean. He put me safe inside, and just before he died, "I hope you liked your drink," says Gunga Din. So I'll meet him later on at the place where he is gone, where it's always double drill and no canteen. He'll be squatting on the coals giving drink to poor damned souls, and I'll get a swig in hell from Gunga Din. Yes, Din, 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 you Lazarusian leather Gunga Din. Though I've belted you and flayed you by the living God that made you, you're a better man than I am, Gunga Din. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Harlem Shadows by Claude McKay. Read for LibriVox.org by Lubet. I hear the halting footsteps of a lass in Negro Harlem when the night lets fall its veil. I see the shapes of girls who pass to bend and barter at desire's call. Ah, little dark girls who in slippered feet go prowling through the night from street to street. Through the long night until the silver break of day, the little gray feet know no rest. Through the lone night until the last snowflake has dropped from heaven upon the earth's white breast, the dusky, half-clad girls of tired feet are trudging, thinly shod, from street to street. Ah, stern, harsh world, that in the wretched way of poverty, dishonor, and disgrace has pushed the timid little feet of clay, the sacred brown feet of my fallen race. Ah, heart of me, the weary, weary feet in Harlem, wandering from street to street. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. Read for LibriVox.org by Lorraine Paquette. The Highwayman. Part 1. The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, and the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He'd a French cocked hat on his forehead, a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of the claret velvet, and breeches of brown doe skin. They fitted with never a wrinkle. His boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a jewelled twinkle, his pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hilt a twinkle, under the jewelled sky. Over the cobbles he clattered and clashed in the dark inn yard, and he tapped with his whip on the shutters, but all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. And dark in the dark old inn-yard a stable wicket creaked, where Tim the ostler listened. His face was white and peaked, his eyes were hollows of madness, his hair like mouldy hay. But he loved the landlord's daughter, the landlord's red-lipped daughter. Dumb as a dog he listened, and he heard the robber say, "One kiss, my bonny sweetheart, I'm after a prize to-night, but I shall be back with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet if they press me sharply and harry me through the day, then look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." He rose upright in the stirrups, he scarce could reach her hand, but she loosened her hair in the casement. His face burnt like a brand, as the black cascade of perfume came tumbling over his breast, and he kissed its waves in the moonlight. Oh, sweet black waves in the moonlight. Then he tugged at his rein in the moonlight and galloped away to the west. Part 2. He did not come in the dawning, he did not come at noon, and out of the tawny sunset before the rise of the moon, when the road was a gypsy's ribbon looping the purple moor, a red-coat troop came marching, marching, marching. King George's men came marching up to the old inn door. They said no word to the landlord, they drank his ale instead, but they gagged his daughter and bound her to the foot of her narrow bed. Two of them knelt at her casement with muskets at their side. There was death at every window, and hell at one dark window, for Bess could see through her casement the road that he would ride. They had tied her up to attention with many a snickering jest. They had bound a musket beside her with the barrel beneath her breast. "Now keep good watch," and they kissed her. She heard the dead man say, "Look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight, I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." She twisted her hands behind her, but all the knots held good. She writhed her hands till her fingers were wet with sweat or blood. They stretched and strained in the darkness, and the hours crawled by like years, till now, on the stroke of midnight, cold on the stroke of midnight, the tip of one finger touched it. The trigger, at least, was hers. The tip of one finger touched it, she strove no more for the rest. Up, she stood up to attention with the barrel beneath her breast. She would not risk their hearing, she would not strive again, for the road lay bare in the moonlight, blank and bare in the moonlight, and the blood of her veins in the moonlight throbbed to her love's refrain. Tlot, 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 tlot. Had they heard it, the horse hoofs ringing clear? Tlot, 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 tlot in the distance. Were they deaf that they did not hear? Down the ribbon of moonlight, over the brow of the hill, the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The redcoats looked to their priming. She stood up straight and still. Tlot, tlot in the frosty silence, tlot, tlot in the echoing night. Nearer he came, and nearer. Her face was like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment. She drew one last deep breath. Then her finger moved in the moonlight. Her musket shattered the moonlight, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warned him with her death. He turned, he spurred to the west. He did not know who stood, bowed with her head o'er the musket, drenched with her own red blood. Not till the dawn he heard it. His face grew grey to hear how Bess, the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, had watched for her love in the moonlight, and died in the darkness there. Back he spurred like a madman, shrieking a curse to the sky, with the white road smoking behind him, and his rapier brandished high. Blood red were his spurs in the golden noon, wine red was his velvet coat, when they shot him down on the highway, down like a dog on the highway, and he lay in his blood on the highway with a bunch of lace at his throat. And still of a winter's night, they say, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, a highwayman comes riding, 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 a highwayman comes riding up to the old inn door. Over the cobbles he clatters and clangs in the dark inn yard. He taps with his whip on the shutters, but all is locked and barred. He whistles a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Moonlight by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Read for LibriVox.org by Morgan Knapp. As a pale phantom with a lamp ascends some ruin's hainted stair, so glides the moon along the damp, mysterious chambers of the air, now hidden in cloud, and now revealed, as if this phantom full of pain were by the crumbling walls concealed, and at the windows seen again, until at last, serene and proud, in all the splendor of her light, she walks the terraces of cloud, supreme as empress of the night. I look, but recognize no more objects familiar to my view. The very pathway to my door is an enchanted avenue. All things are changed, one mass of shade. The elm trees drop their curtains down. By palace, park, and colonnade I walk as in a foreign town. The very ground beneath my feet is clothed with a diviner air, while marble paves the silent street and glimmers in the empty square. Illusion, underneath there lies the common life of every day, only the spirit glorifies with its own tints the sober gray. In vain we look, in vain uplift our eyes to heaven. If we are blind, we see but what we have the gift of seeing. What we bring, we find. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Nightmare by Conrad Aiken. Read for LibriVox.org by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio, on the penultimate night of the year 2011.
Draw 3 cards, and I will tell your future. Draw 3 cards and lay them down. Rest your palms upon them, stare at the crystal, and think of time. My father was a clown. My mother was a gypsy out of Egypt, and she was gotten with child in a strange way. And I was born in a cold eclipse of the moon, with the future in my eyes as clear as day.
I sit before the gold-embroidered curtain, and think her face is like a wrinkled desert. The crystal burns in lamplight beneath my eyes. A dragon slowly coils on the scaly curtain. Upon a scarlet cloth a white skull lies.
Your hand is on the hand that holds 3 lilies. You will live long, love many times. I see a dark girl here who once betrayed you. I see a shadow of secret crimes. There was a man who came intent to kill you, and hid behind a door and waited for you. There was a woman who smiled at you and lied. There was a golden girl who loved you, begged you, crawled after you, and died. There is a ghost of murder in your blood, coming or past, I know not which. And here is danger, a woman with sea-green eyes and white-skinned as a witch.
The words hiss into me like raindrops falling on sleepy fire. She smiles a meaning smile. Suspicion eats my brain. I ask a question. Something is creeping at me, something vile. And suddenly on the wall behind her head I see a monstrous shadow strike and spread. The lamp puffs out, a great blow crashes down. I plunge through the curtain, run through dark to the street, and hear swift steps retreat. The shades are drawn, the door is locked behind me. Behind the door I hear a hammer sounding. I walk in a cloud of wonder. I am glad. I mingle among the crowds. My heart is pounding. You do not guess the adventure I have had. Yet you too, all have had your dark adventures, your sudden adventures, or strange or sweet. My peril goes out from me, is blown among you. We loiter, dreaming together, along the street. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
O Captain, My Captain, by Walt Whitman, read for LibriVox.org by Morgan Knapp. O Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every wrack, the prize we sought is won. The port is near, the bells I hear, the people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. But oh heart, 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 oh the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, fallen, cold and dead. O Captain, my Captain, rise up and hear the bells. Rise up, for you the flag is flung, for you the bugle trills, for you bouquets and ribboned wreaths, for you the shores are crowding, for you they call, the swaying mass, their eager faces turning. Here, Captain, dear father, this arm beneath your head. It is some dream that on the deck you've fallen cold and dead. My captain does not answer, his lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm, he has no pulse nor will. The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done. From fearful trip the victor ship comes in with object won. Exult, O shores, and ring, O bells, but I with mournful tread walk the deck my captain lies, fallen, cold and dead. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
On Broadway by Claude McKay. Read for LibriVox.org by Lubet. About me young and careless feet linger along the garish street. Above, 100 shouting signs shed down their bright, fantastic glow upon the merry crowd and lines of moving carriages below. Oh, wonderful is Broadway! Only my heart is lonely. Desire naked, linked with passion, goes strutting by in brazen fashion. From playhouse, cabaret, and inn, the rainbow lights of Broadway blaze, all gay without, all glad within. As in a dream I stand and gaze at Broadway, shining Broadway. Only my heart is lonely. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ozymandias by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Read for LibriVox.org by Conrad Treble. I met a traveler from an antique land, who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Pretty Words by Eleanor Wiley. Read for LibriVox.org by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio, January 3rd, 2012. Poets make pets of pretty docile words. I love smooth words like gold enameled fish which circle slowly with a silken swish, and tender ones like downy feathered birds. Words shy and dappled, deep-eyed deer in herds, come to my hand. And playful if I wish, or purring softly at a silver dish, blue Persian kittens, fed on cream and curds. I love bright words, words up and singing early, words that are luminous in the dark and sing. Warm, lazy words, white cattle under trees. I love words opalescent, cool and pearly, like midsummer moths, and honeyed words like bees, gilded and sticky, with a little sting. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Rime of the Three Witches, from Macbeth by William Shakespeare. Read for LibriVox.org by Michael Dowling. A cauldron, thunder, enter the three witches.
Thrice the brinded cat hath mewed. Rise, and once the hedge pig whined. Happier cries, 'tis time, 'tis time. Round about the cauldron go, in the poisoned entrails throw toad that under cold stone days and nights has 31 sweltered venom sleeping got. Boil thou first the charmed pot. Double, double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Fillet of a fenny snake, in the cauldron boil and bake. Eye of newt and toe of frog, wool of bat and tongue of dog. adder's fork and blindworm's sting, lizard's leg and owlet's wing, for a charm of powerful trouble, like a hell broth boil and bubble. Double, double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Scale of dragon, tooth of wolf, witch's bubby, moor and gulf, of the raving salt sea shark, root of hemlock, dick in the dark, liver of blaspheming Jew, gall of goat and slips of yew, silvered in the moon-sick lips, nose of Turk and Tartar's lips, finger of birth, strangled babe, dish delivered by a drab, make the gruel thick and slab, add to a tiger's children for the ingredients of a cauldron. Double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Cool it with a baboon's blood, then the charm is firm and good.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Rueful Lamentation, read for LibriVox.org by Algie Pug, Perth, Western Australia, on New Year's Day 2012. A rueful lamentation written by Mr. Thomas More in his youth of the death of Queen Elizabeth, mother to King Henry VIII, wife to King Henry VII, and eldest daughter to King Edward IV, which Queen Elizabeth died in childbed in February of the year of our Lord 1503, and in the 18th year of the reign of King Henry VII. O ye that put your trust and confidence in worldly joy and frail prosperity, that so live here as ye should never hence, remember death and look here upon me, in sample I think there may no better be. Yourself wot well that in this realm was I your queen but late, and lo, now here I lie. Was I not born of old worthy lineage? Was not my mother queen, my father king? Was not I a king's fair in marriage? Had I not plenty of every pleasant thing? Merciful God, this is a strange reckoning. Riches, honour, wealth, and ancestry hath me forsaken, and lo, now here I lie. If worship might have kept me, I had not gone. If wit might have me saved, I needed not fear. If money might have holp, I lacked none. But oh, good God, what vaileth all this gear? When death is come, thy mighty messenger, obey we must, there is no remedy. Me hath he summoned, and lo, now here I lie. Yet was I late promised otherwise, this year to live in wealth and delice. Lo, whereto cometh thy blandishing promise? O false astrology and divinatrice, of God's secrets making thyself so wise! How true is for this year thy prophecy! The year yet lasteth, and lo, now here I lie. O brittle wealth, aye full of bitterness, thy single pleasure doubled is with pain. Account my sorrow first, and my distress in sundry wise, and reckon there again the joy that I have had, and I dare sain, for all my honour, endured yet have I more woe than wealth, and lo, now here I lie. Where are our castles now? Where are our towers? Goodly Richmond, soon art thou gone from me. At Westminster, that costly work of yours, mine own dear lord, now shall I never see. Almighty God, vouchsafe to grant that ye, for you and your children well may edify. My palace builded is, and lo, now here I lie. Adieu, mine own dear spouse, my worthy lord, the faithful love that did us both combine, in marriage and peaceable concord, into your hands here I clean resign, to be bestowed upon your children and mine. Erst were you father, and now must you supply the mother's part also, for lo, now here I lie. Farewell, my daughter, Lady Margaret, God wot full oft it grieved hath my mind that ye should go where we should seldom meet. Now am I gone, and left you behind. O mortal folk that we be, very blind, that we least fear full oft it is most nigh, from you depart I first, and lo, now here I lie. Farewell, madam, my lord's worthy mother, comfort your son, and be you of good cheer, take all a worth, for it will be none other. Farewell, my daughter Catherine, late the fair, to Prince Arthur, mine own child so dear. It booteth not for me to weep or cry. Pray for my soul, for lo, now here I lie. Adieu, Lord Henry, my loving son, adieu. Our Lord increase your honour and estate. Adieu, my daughter Mary, bright of hue. God make you virtuous, wise, and fortunate. Adieu, sweet heart, my little daughter Kate. Thou shalt, sweet babe, such is thy destiny, thy mother never know, for lo, now here I lie. Lady Cicely, Anne, and Catherine, farewell, my well-beloved sisters three. O Lady Bridget, other sister mine, lo here the end of worldly vanity. Now well are ye that earthly folly flee, and heavenly things love and magnify. Farewell, and pray for me, for lo, now here I lie. Adieu, my lords, adieu, my ladies all. Adieu, my faithful servants every chone. Adieu, my commons, whom I never shall see in this world. Wherefore to thee alone, immortal God, verily three and one, I me command, thy infinite mercy show to thy servant, for lo, now here I lie. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Second Coming by William Butler Yeats. Read for LibriVox.org by Jessica Louise. Turning and turning in the widening jar, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart. The centre cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world, the blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Surely some revelation is at hand. Surely the second coming is at hand. The second coming! Hardly are those words out when a vast image out of Spiritus Mundi troubles my sight. A waste of desert sand. A shape with lion body and the head of a man, a gaze blank and pitiless as the sun, is moving its slow thighs, while all about it wind shadows of the indignant desert birds. The darkness drops again, but now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. And what rough beast, its hour come round at last, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sonnet 29 by William Shakespeare. Read for LibriVox.org by Lucy Perry. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself, and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despairing, haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sonnet of the Moon by Charles Best. Read for LibriVox.org by Christine G. the 18th of January 2012. Look how the pale queen of the silent night doth cause the ocean to attend upon her, and he, as long as she is in his sight, with her full tide is ready her to honour. But when the silver waggon of the moon is mounted up so high he cannot follow, the sea calls home his crystal waves to moan, and with the low ebb doth manifest his sorrow. So you that are the sovereign of my heart have all my joys attending on your will, my joys low ebbing when you do depart. When you return, their tide my heart doth fill. So as you come and as you do depart, joys ebb and flow within my tender heart. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sunday Morning by Wallace Stevens. Read for LibriVox.org by Susie Johnson. Complacencies of the peignoir, and late coffee, and oranges in a sunny chair, and the green freedom of a cockatoo upon a rug, mingle to dissipate the holy hush of ancient sacrifice. She dreams a little, and she feels the dark encroachment of that old catastrophe as a calm darkens among water lights. The pungent oranges and bright green wings seem things in some procession of the dead, winding across wide water without sound. The day is like wide water without sound, stilled for the passing of her dreaming feet over the seas to silent Palestine, dominion of the blood and sepulchre. Why should she give her bounty to the dead? What is divinity if it can come only in silent shadows and in dreams? Shall she not find in comforts of the sun, in pungent fruit and bright green wings, or else in any balm or beauty of the earth, things to be cherished, like the thought of heaven? Divinity must live within herself, passions of rain, or moods in falling snow, grievings in loneliness, or unsubdued elations when the forest blooms, gusty emotions on wet roads, on autumn nights, all pleasures and all pains, remembering the bough of summer and the winter branch. These are the measure destined for her soul. Jove in the clouds had his inhuman birth. No mother suckled him, no sweet land gave large-mannered motions to this mythy mind. He moved among us as a muttering king, magnificent, would move among his hinds, until our blood, commingling, virginal, with heaven, brought such requital to desire the very hinds discerned it in a star. Shall our blood fail, or shall it come to be the blood of paradise? And shall the earth seem all of paradise that we shall know? The sky will be much friendlier then than now, a part of labor and a part of pain, and next in glory to enduring love, not this divining and indifferent blue. She says, I am content when wakened birds, before they fly, test the reality of misty fields by their sweet questionings. But when the birds are gone, and their warm fields return no more, where then is paradise? There is not any haunt of prophecy, nor any old chimera of the grave, neither the golden underground, nor isle melodious, where spirits gat them home, nor visionary south, nor cloudy palm remote on heaven's hill, that has endured as April's green endures, or will endure like her remembrance of awakened birds, or her desire for June and evening, tipped by the consummation of the swallow's wings. She says, but in contentment I still feel the need of some imperishable bliss. Death is the mother of beauty, hence from her alone shall come fulfillment to our dreams and our desires. Although she strews the leaves of sure obliteration on our paths, the path sick sorrow took, the many paths where triumph rang its brassy phrase, or love whispered a little out of tenderness, she makes the willow shiver in the sun, for maidens who were wont to sit and gaze upon the grass, relinquished to their feet. She causes boys to pile new plums and pears on disregarded plate. The maidens taste and stray impassioned in the littering leaves. Is there no change of death in paradise? Does ripe fruit never fall? Or do boughs hang always heavy in that perfect sky, unchanging, yet so like our perishing earth, with rivers like our own that seek for seas they never find, the same receding shores that never touch with inarticulate pang? Why set pear upon those river banks, or spice the shores with odors of the plum? Alas, that they should wear our colors there, the silken weavings of our afternoons, and pick the strings of our insipid lutes. Death is the mother of beauty, mystical, within whose burning bosom we devise our earthly mothers waiting sleeplessly. Supple and turbulent, a ring of men shall chant in orgy on a summer morn their boisterous devotion to the sun, not as a god, but as a god might be, naked among them, like a savage source. Their chant shall be a chant of paradise, out of their blood returning to the sky. And in their chant shall enter, voice by voice, the windy lake wherein their Lord delights, the trees like seraphim, and echoing hills that choir among themselves long afterward. They shall know well the heavenly fellowship of men that perish, and of summer morn. And whence they came, and whither they shall go, the dew upon their feet shall manifest. She hears upon that water without sound a voice that cries, "The tomb in Palestine is not the porch of spirits lingering. It is the grave of Jesus where he lay." We live in an old chaos of the sun, or old dependency of day and night, or island solitude, unsponsored, free of that wide water, inescapable. Deer walk upon our mountains, and the quail whistle about us their spontaneous cries. Sweet berries ripen in the wilderness, and in the isolation of the sky, at evening, casual flocks of pigeons make ambiguous undulations as they sink downward to darkness on extended wings. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Thousand Martyrs by Aphra Behn. Read for LibriVox.org by Heather Phillips. 1,000 martyrs I have made, all sacrificed to my desire. 1,000 beauties have betrayed that languish in resistless fire. The untamed heart to hand I brought, and fixed the wild and wandering thought. I never vowed nor sighed in vain, but both, though false, were well received. The fair are pleased to give us pain, and what they wish is soon believed. And though I talked of wounds and smart, love's pleasures only touched my heart. Alone the glory and the spoil I always laughing bore away, the triumphs without pain or toil, without the hell, the heaven of joy. And while I thus at random rove, despise the fools that whine for love. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To a Friend, by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Martin Geeson, in Hazelmere, Surrey. When from the blossoms of the noiseful day unto the hive of sleep and hushed gloom throng the dim-winged dreams, what dreams are they that with the wildest honey hover home? Oh, they that have from many thousand thoughts stolen the strange sweet of ever-blossomy you, 1,000 fancies in fair-coloured knots, which you are unexhausted meadow to. Ah, what sharp heathery honey, quick with pain, do they bring home! It holds the night awake to hear their lovely murmur in my brain. And sleep's wings have a trouble for your sake. Day and you dawn together, for at end with the first light breaks the first thought, my friend. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To Mary Pickford by Vachel Lindsay. Read for LibriVox.org by Chuck Williamson. To Mary Pickford, moving picture actress, on hearing she was leaving the moving pictures for the stage. Mary Pickford, doll divine, year by year and every day at the moving picture play you have been my Valentine. Once a free-limbed page in hose, baby Rosalind in flower, cloakless, shrinking in that hour, how our reverent passion rose, how our fine desire you won. Kitchen wench another day, shapeless, wooden every way, next a fairy from the sun. Once you walked a grown-up strand, fishwife siren full of lure, snaring with devices sure lads who murdered on the sand. But on most days just a child, dimpled as no grown folk are, cold of kiss as some north star, violet from the valleys wild, snared as innocence must be, fleeing, prisoned, chained, half dead, at the end of torture's dread, roaring cowboys set you free. Fly, O song, to her today, like a cowboy cross the land, snatch her from Belasco's hand, and that prison called Broadway. All the village swains await one dear lily girl demure, saucy, dancing, cold and pure, elf who must return in state. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To Them Who Seek Fortune, by Thomas Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Algie Pugg, Perth, Western Australia. Whoso delighteth to proven and assay of wavering fortune the uncertain lot, if that the answer please you not alway, blame you not me, for I command you not fortune to trust, and eke full well you wot I have of her no bridle in my fist, she runneth loose and turneth where she list. The rolling dice in which your luck doth stand, with whose unhappy chance you be so wroth, you know yourself never came in my hand. Lo, in this pond be fish and frogs they both, cast in your net, but be you lief or loath, hold you content as fortune list assign, for it is your own fishing and not mine. And though in one chance fortune you offend, grudge not thereat, but bear a merry face, in many another she shall it amend. There is no man so far out of her grace, but he sometime hath comfort and solace. No more again so far forth in her favour, that is full satisfied in her behaviour. Fortune is stately, solemn, proud, and high, and riches giveth to have service therefore. The needy beggar catcheth a halfpenny, some men 1,000 pounds, some less, some more. But for all that she keepeth ever in store from every man some parcel of his will, that he may pray therefore and serve her still. Some man hath good, but child hath he none, some man hath both, but he can get none health. Some hath all three, but to honour's throne can he not creep by no manner of stealth. To some she sendeth children, riches, wealth, honour, worship, and reverence all his life, but yet she pincheth him with a shrewd wife. Then forasmuch as it is Fortune's guise to grant no man all things that he will ask, but as herself order and devise, doth every man his part divide and tax. I counsel ye, each one truss up your packs, and take nothing at all, with such reward as Fortune hath you sent. All things which in this book that you shall read, do as you list, there shall no man you bind them to believe as surely as your creed. But notwithstanding, certes in my mind I durst well swear, strew you shall them find in every point each answer by and by, as are the judgments of astronomy. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Travelling Companion by Lord Alfred Douglas. Read for LibriVox.org by Chuck Williamson. The Travelling Companion. Into the silence of the empty night I went, and took my scorned heart with me, and all the 1,000 eyes of heaven were bright. But sorrow came, and led me back to thee. I turned my weary eyes towards the sun. Out of the leaden east like smoke came he. I laughed and said, the night is past and done. But sorrow came, and led me back to thee. I turned my face towards the rising moon. Out of the south she came, most sweet to see. She smiled upon my eyes that loathed the noon. But sorrow came, and led me back to thee. I bent my eyes upon the summer land, and all the painted fields were ripe for me, and every flower nodded to my hand. But sorrow came, and led me back to thee. O love, O sorrow, O desired despair, I turn my feet towards the boundless sea. Into the dark I go, and heed not where, so that I come again, at last, to thee. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Triumph of Time by Algernon Charles Swinburne. Read for LibriVox.org by Casper Nijssen. Before our lives divide forever, while time is with us and hands are free, time swift to fasten and swift to sever hand from hand as we stand by the sea, I will say no word that a man might say whose whole life's love goes down in a day, for this could never have been, and never, though the gods and the years relent, shall be. Is it worth a tear, is it worth an hour, to think of things that are well outworn, of fruitless husk and fugitive flower, the dream foregone and the deed forborne? Though joy be done with and grief be vain, time shall not sever us wholly in twain. Earth is not spoiled for a single shower, but the rain has ruined the ungrown corn. It will grow not again, this fruit of my heart, smitten with sunbeams, ruined with rain. The singing seasons divide and depart, winter and summer depart in twain. It will grow not again, it is ruined at root, the blood-like blossom, the dull red fruit, though the heart yet sickens, the lips yet smart, with sullen savour of poisonous pain. I have given no man of my fruit to eat. I trod the grapes, I've drunken the wine. Had you eaten and drunken, and found it sweet, this wild new growth of the corn and vine, this wine and bread without lees or leaven, we had grown as the gods up in heaven, souls fair to look upon, goodly to greet, one splendid spirit, your soul and mine. In the change of years, in the coil of things, in the clamour and rumour of life to be, we, drinking love at the furthest springs, covered with love as a covering tree, we had grown as the gods above, filled from the heart to the lips with love, held fast in his hands, clothed warm with his wings. O love, my love, had you loved but me. We had stood as the shore stars stand, and moved as the moon moves, loving the world, and seen grief collapse as a thing disproved, death consume as a thing unclean, twain halves of a perfect heart, made fast, soul to soul, while the years fell past. Had you loved me once, as you have not loved, had the chance be with us that has not been. I have put my days and dreams out of mind, days that are over, dreams that are done. Though we seek life through, we shall surely find there is none of them clear to us now, not one. But clear are these things, the grass and the sand, where, sure as the eyes reach, ever at hand, with lips wide open and face burned blind, the strong sea daisies feast on the sun. The low down leans to the sea, the stream, one loose, thin, pulseless, tremulous vein, rapid and vivid and dumb as a dream, works downward, sick of the sun and the rain. No wind is rough with the rank rare flowers, the sweet sea, mother of loves and hours, shudders and shines as the grey winds gleam, turning her smile to a fugitive pain. Mother of loves that are swift to fade, mother of mutable winds and hours, a barren mother, a mother maid, cold and clean as her faint salt flowers. I would we twain were even as she, lost in the night and the light of the sea, where faint sounds falter and wan beams wade, break and are broken and shed into showers. The love and hours of the life of a man, they are swift and sad, being born of the sea, hours that rejoice and regret for a span, born with a man's breath, mortal as he. Loves that are lost ere they come to birth, weeds of the wave, without fruit upon earth. I lose what I long for, save what I can, my love, and no love for me. It is not much that a man can save on the sands of life, in the straits of time, who swims in sight of the great third wave, that never a swimmer shall cross or climb. Some wave washed up with the straits and spars, that ebb tide shows to the shore and the stars, wheat from the water, grass from a grave, a broken blossom, a ruined rhyme. There will no man do for your sake, I think, what I would have done for the least word said. I had wrung life dry for your lips to drink, broken it up for your daily bread, body for body and blood for blood, as the flow of the full sea risen to flood, that yearns and trembles before it sink. I had given and lain down for you, glad and dead. Yea, hope at highest and all her fruit, and time at fullest and all his dower, I had given you surely, and life to boot, where we once made one for a single hour. But now you are twain, you are cloven apart, flesh of his flesh, but heart of my heart, and deep in one is the bitter root, and sweet for one is the lifelong flower. To have died if you cared I should die for you, clung to my life if you bade me, played my part as it pleased you, these were the thoughts that stung, the dreams that smote with a keener dart than shafts of love or arrows of death. These were but as fire is, dust or breath, or poisonous foam on the tender tongue of the little snakes that eat my heart. I wish we were dead together today, lost sight of, hidden away out of sight, clasped and clothed in the cloven clay, out of the world's way, out of the light, out of the ages of worldly weather, forgotten of all men altogether, as the world's first dead taken wholly away, made one with death, filled full of the night. How we would slumber, how we should sleep, far in the dark with the dreams and the dews, and dreaming grow to each other and weep, laugh low, live softly, murmur and muse. Yea, and it may be, struck through by the dream, feel the dust quicken and quiver and seem alive as of old to the lips, and leap spirit to spirit as lovers use. Sick dreams and sad of a dull delight. For what shall it profit when men are dead, to have dreamed, to have loved with the whole soul's might, to have looked for day when the day was fled? Let come what will, there's one thing worth, to have had fair love in the life upon earth, to have held love safe till the day grew night, while skies had colour and lips were red. Would I lose you now? Would I take you then, if I lose you now that my heart has need? And come what may after death to man, what thing worth this will the dead years breed? Lose life, lose all, but at least I know, O sweet life's love, having loved you so, had I reached you on earth I should lose not again, in death nor life, nor in dream or deed. Yea, I know this well. Were you once sealed mine, mine in the blood's beat, mine in the breath, mixed into me as honey in wine, not time that saith and gainsayeth, nor all strong things that severed us then, not wrath of the gods, nor wisdom of man, not all things earthly, nor all divine, nor joy, nor sorrow, nor life, nor death. I had grown pure as the dawn and the dew, you had grown strong as the sun or the sea, but none shall triumph a whole life through, for death is one, and the fates are three. At the door of life, by the gate of breath, there are worse things waiting for man than death. Death could not sever my soul from you, as these have severed your soul from me. You have chosen and clung to the chance they sent you, life sweet as perfume and pure as prayer. But will it not one day in heaven repent you? Will they solace you wholly, the days that were? Will you lift up your eyes between sadness and bliss, meet mine, and see where the great love is, and tremble and turn and be changed? Content you, the gate is strait, I shall not be there. But you, had you chosen, had you stretched hand, had you seen good such a thing were done, I too might have stood with the souls that stand in the sun's light, clothed with the light of the sun. But who now on earth need care how I live? Have the high gods anything left to give, save dust and laurels and gold and sand, which gifts are goodly, but I will none. O all fair lovers about the world, there is none of you, none that shall comfort me. My thoughts are as dead things, wrecked and whirled round and round in a gulf of the sea. And still, through the sound and the straining stream, through the coil and chafe, they gleam in a dream, the bright fine lips so cruelly curled, and strange swift eyes where the soul sits free. Free without pity, withheld from woe, ignorant, fair as the eyes are fair. Would I have you change now, change at a blow, startled and stricken, awake and aware? Yea, if I could, would I have you see my very love of you filling me, and know my soul to the quick, as I know the likeness and look of your throat and hair. I shall not change you, nay, though I might, would I change my sweet one love with a word? I had rather your hair should change in a night, clear now as the plume of a black bright bird, your face fail suddenly, cease, turn grey, die as a leaf that dies in a day. I will keep my soul in a place out of sight, far off, where the pulse of it is not heard. Far off it walks, in a bleak blown space, full of the sound of the sorrow of years. I have woven a veil for the weeping face, whose lips have drunken the wine of tears. I have found a way for the failing feet, a place for slumber and sorrow to meet. There is no rumour about the place, nor light, nor any that sees or hears. I have hidden my soul out of sight, and said, let none take pity upon thee, none comfort thy crying, for lo, thou art dead, lie still now, safe out of sight of the sun. Have I not built thee a grave, and wrought thy grave cloth on thee of grievous thought, with soft spun verses and tears unshed, and sweet light visions of things undone? I have given thee garments, and balm and myrrh, and gold, and beautiful burial things. But thou, be at peace now, make no stir. Is not thy grave as a royal king's? Fret not thyself though the end was sore. Sleep, be patient, vex me no more. Sleep, what hast thou to do with her, the eyes that weep, with the mouth that sings? Where the dead red leaves of the years lie rotten, the cold old crimes and the deeds thrown by, the misconceived and the misbegotten, I would find a sin to do ere I die, sure to dissolve and destroy me all through, that would set you higher in heaven, serve you and leave you happy, when clean forgotten, as a dead man out of mind, am I. Your lithe hands draw me, your face burns through me, I am swift to follow you, keen to see. But love lacks might to redeem or undo me. As I have been, I know I shall surely be. What should such fellows as I do? Nay, my part were worse if I chose to play. For the worst is this after all, if they knew me, not a soul upon earth would pity me. And I play not for pity of these, but you, if you saw with your soul what man am I, you would praise me at least, that my soul all through clove to you, loathing the lives that lie. The souls and lips that are bought and sold, the smiles of silver and kisses of gold, the lapdog loves that whine as they chew, the little lovers that curse and cry. There are fairer women, I hear, that may be, but I, that I love you and find you fair, who are more than fair in my eyes if they be, do the high gods know, or the great gods care? Though the swords in my heart for one were 7, should the iron hollow of doubtful heaven, that knows not itself whether night time or day be, reverberate words and a foolish prayer, I will go back to the great sweet mother, mother and lover of man, the sea. I will go down to her, I and none other, close with her, kiss her, and mix her with me, cling to her, strive with her, hold her fast. O fair white mother in days long past, born without sister, born without brother, set free my soul as thy soul is free. O fair green girdled mother of mine, she that art clothed with the sun and the rain, thy sweet hard kisses are strong like wine, thy large embraces are keen like pain. Save me and hide me with all thy waves, find me one grave of thy 1,000 graves, those pure cold populous graves of thine, wrought without hand in a world without stain. I shall sleep and move with the moving ships, change as the winds change, veer in the tide. My lips will feast on the foam of thy lips, I shall rise with thy rising, and with thee subside. Sleep, and not know if she be, if she were, filled full with life to the eyes and hair, as a rose is fulfilled to the rose-leaf tips, with splendid summer and perfume and pride. This woven raiment of nights and days, were at once cast off and unwound from me, naked and glad would I walk in thy ways, alive and aware of thy ways and thee, clear of the whole world, hidden at home, clothed with the green and crowned with the foam, a pulse of life of thy straits and bays, a vein in the heart of the streams of the sea. Fair mother, fed with the lives of men. Thou art subtle and cruel of heart, men say. Thou hast taken, and shalt not render again. Thou art full of thy dead, and cold as they, but the death is the worst that comes of thee. Thou art fed with our dead, O mother, O sea, but when hast thou fed on our hearts, or when, having given us love, hast thou taken away? O tender-hearted, O perfect lover, thy lips are bitter, and sweet thine heart. The hopes that hurt, and the dreams that hover, shall they not vanish away and apart? But thou art sure, thou art older than earth. Thou art strong for death, and fruitful of birth. Thy depth conceal, and thy gulfs discover. From the first thou wert, in the end thou art. And grief shall endure not forever. I know as things that are not shall these things be. We shall live through seasons of sun and of snow, and none be grievous as this to me. We shall hear as one in a trance that hears the sound of time, the rhyme of the years. Wrecked hope and passionate pain will grow as tender things of a springtide sea. Sea fruit that swings in the waves that hiss, drowned gold and purple and royal rings, and all time past, was it all for this? Times unforgotten and treasures of things? Swift years of liking and sweet long laughter that wist not well of the years thereafter, till love woke, smitten at heart by a kiss, with lips that trembled and trailing wings. There lived a singer in France of old, by the tideless, dolorous midland sea. In a land of sand and ruin and gold, there shone one woman, and none but she. And finding life for her love's sake fail, being fain to see her, he bade set sail, touched land, and saw her as life grew cold, and praised God, seeing, and so died he. Died, praising God for his gift and grace, for she bowed down to him weeping, and said, Live. And her tears were shed on his face, or ever the life in his face was shed. The sharp tears fell through her hair, and stung once, and her close lips touched him and clung once, and grew one with his lips for a space, and so drew back, and the man was dead. O brother, the gods were good to you. Sleep and be glad while the world endures. Be well content as the years wear through. Give thanks to life and the loves and lures. Give thanks for life, O brother, and death, for the sweet last sound of her feet, her breath, for gifts she gave you, gracious and few, tears and kisses, that lady of yours. Rest and be glad of the gods. But I, how shall I praise them, or how take rest? There is not room under all the sky for me that knows not of worst or best, dream or desire of the days before, sweet things or bitterness any more. Love will not come to me now, though I die, as love came close to you, breast to breast. I shall never be friends again with roses, I shall loathe sweet tunes, where a note grown strong relents and recoils, and climbs and closes, as a wave of the sea turned back by song. There are sounds where the soul's delight takes fire, face to face with its own desire, a delight that rebels, a desire that reposes. I shall hate sweet music my whole life long. The pulse of war and passion of wonder, the heavens that murmur, the sounds that shine, the stars that sing and the loves that thunder, the music burning at heart like wine, an armed archangel whose hands raise up all senses mixed in the spirit's cup, till flesh and spirit are molten asunder. These things are over, and no more mine. These were a part of the playing I heard once, ere my love and my heart were at strife. Love that sings and has wings as a bird, balm of the wound and heft of the knife. Fairer than earth is the sea, and sleep than overwatching of eyes that weep. Now time has done with his one sweet word, the wine and leaven of lovely life. I shall go my ways, tread out my measure, fill the days of my daily breath with fugitive things not good to treasure. Do as the world doth, say as it saith. But if we had loved each other, oh sweet, had you felt, lying under the palms of your feet, the heart of my heart beating harder with pleasure to feel you tread it, to dust and death. Ah, had I not taken my life up and given all that life gives, and the years let go, the wine and honey, the balm and leaven, the dreams reared high, and the hopes brought low. Come life, come death, not a word be said. Should I lose you living and vex you dead? I never shall tell you on earth, and in heaven, if I cry to you then, will you hear or know? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
What the Engines Said by Bret Harte. Read for LibriVox.org by Jason Mills. Opening of the Pacific Railroad. What was it the engines said? Pilots touching, head to head, facing on the single track, half a world behind each back. This is what the engines said, unreported and unread. With a prefatory screech, in a florid western speech, said the engine from the west, I am from Sierra's crest, and if altitude's a test, why, I reckon it's confessed that I've done my level best. Said the engine from the east, they who work best talk the least. S'pose you whistle down your brakes, what you've done is no great shakes. Pretty fair, but let our meeting be a different kind of greeting. Let these folks with champagne stuffing, not their engines, do the puffing. Listen, where Atlantic beats shores of snow and summer heats, where the Indian autumn skies paint the woods with wampum dyes, I have chased the flying sun, seeing all he looked upon, blessing all that he has blessed, nursing in my iron breast all his vivifying heat, all his clouds about my crest, and before my flying feet every shadow must retreat. Said the western engine, Phew! And a long low whistle blew. Come now, really that's the oddest talk for one so very modest. You brag of your East, you do? Why, I bring the East to you. All the Orient, all Cathay, find through me the shortest way. and the sun you follow here rises in my hemisphere. Really, if one must be rude, length, my friend, ain't longitude. Said the Union, don't reflect, or I'll run over some director. Said the Central, I'm pacific, but when riled I'm quite terrific. Yet today we shall not quarrel, just to show these folks this moral, how two engines, in their vision, once have met without collision. That is what the engines said, unreported and unread, spoken slightly through the nose, with a whistle at the close. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Where There's a Will, There's a Way, by Eliza Cook. Read for LibriVox.org by Rhonda Fetterman. We have faith in old proverbs full surely, for wisdom has traced what they tell, and truth may be drawn up as purely from them as it may be from a well. Let us question the thinkers and doers, and hear what they honestly say, and you'll find they believe, like bold wooers, in where there's a will there's a way. The hills have been high for man's mounting, the woods have been dense for his axe, the stars have been thick for his counting, the sands have been wide for his tracks. The sea has been deep for his diving, the poles have been broad for his sway. But bravely he's proved in his striving that where there's a will there's a way. Have ye vices that ask a destroyer, or passions that need your control? Let reason become your employer, and your body be ruled by your soul. Fight on though ye bleed in the trial, resist with all strength that ye may. Ye may conquer sin's host by denial, for where there's a will there's a way. Have ye poverty's pinching to cope with? Does suffering weigh down your might? Only call up a spirit to hope with, and dawn may come out of the night. Oh, much may be done by defying the ghosts of despair and dismay, and much may be gained by relying on where there's a will there's a way. Should ye see afar off that worth winning, set out on the journey with trust, and ne'er heed if your path at beginning should be among brambles and dust. Though it is but by footsteps ye do it, and hardships may hinder and stay, walk with faith and be sure you'll get through it, for where there's a will there's a way. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Yasmin by James Elroy Flecker. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. A Guzzle. How splendid in the morning grows the lily! With what grace he throws his supplication to the rose! Do roses nod the head, Yasmin? But when the silver dove descends, I find the little flower of friends, whose very name that sweetly ends I say when I have said, Yasmin. The morning light is clear and cold. I dare not in that light behold a whiter light, a deeper gold, a glory too far shed, Yasmin. But when the deep red light of day is level with the lone highway, and some to Mecca turn to pray, and I toward thy bed, Yasmin. Or when the wind beneath the moon, in drifting like a soul aswoon, and harping planets talk love's tune with milky wings outspread, Yasmin. Shower down thy love, O burning bright, for one night or the other night will come the gardener in white, and gathered flowers are dead, Yasmin. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.